guys. Welcome to Nine's Corner. I thought I'll let you in on the first little couple of minutes before I start a reading, just so you could see how it goes, what happens behind the scenes, you know. All right. I hope you are coming to me in good health, that everything is going well with you. That's my wish for you. I'm going to be doing 2 questions that I got in my email. So thank you for your support. Thank you for writing. I so appreciate everybody watching the channel, commenting, liking, you know, and giving me constructive criticism is good too. It's always good for me to learn and, you know, for us to learn from each other. So I got 2 excellent questions in my email, and it's funny how one kind of goes into the other. So I'm going to do the 2 of those, and the third one I got to. I mean, I was kind of thinking about just doing it on my own because I'm not sure if anybody is interested. And then I thought, well, if I'm interested, then maybe everybody else will be. But I thought, let's look into Bob Saget, because there are some questions about his death. His autopsy came out and said there was no drugs, no nothing that would warrant him dying, but that there was an extreme hit to the back of the head. And the way that the autopsy was explained, or the way that they described it, was like he took a bat to the back of the head. So, you know, kind of almost giving everybody that, like, it couldn't have just happened in the bathroom. So anyway, I thought, let's do a reading on Bob Saget, see if there's anything there. So, first reading up, we're going to look at, will legislation pass to cap travel nurses' salaries? And I wanted to kind of look at that question and then go further and think what's going to happen with nursing and, you know, healthcare, because, you know, the reality is that during this pandemic, our nursing and doctors and our hospital staff and, you know, I mean, we could go on and on and on. At one point, we were clapping, cheering, banging pots together. And now they're being spat on and angrily looked down and not getting their wages. And I know from personal family that, you know, there's a lot of PSTD happening here. People are scared. People are worried. And we're in a world now where they're saying, hey, you know, for the last 2 years, we told you, like, do not go outside the door. Like, even touching a parcel might kill you. Well, just forget all that and let's just go back out. And it's like, we know we have to follow the science. That's the most important thing. So, you know, and science is going to change based on what they find out. So it can't be a constant thing because science changes with the information. But it's hard as a society to have to mentally deal with the idea of it, because, you know, people were thinking that for the last 2 years, and the reason for all the vaccinations and everything was to stop it. They can't stop it. They can minimize it, and they wanted to minimize how much of a strain it would be on the healthcare system. So, I mean, it's just such a huge, complicated onion to have to unpeel. And I mean, I'm certainly, you know, no expert by no means, but I've worked in healthcare for a lot of years. I have a lot of my family that works in healthcare, and I God bless them. It is, I mean, you think about it right now with the state of healthcare, with them going from heroes to zeros. If your child was like going, do I want to go into nursing? Do I want to go? Why? For the abuse? For, you know, I mean, it's a lot. And, you know, nurses at the hospital now, they're not just there being able to do nursing jobs. They have to, you know, be everything. Be an advocate for the patient, be an advocate for the nurse, be, you know, sensitive to everything that's happening in this world, and still being, you know, excuse my language, but shit on, right? So I thought, just to see, let's ask the angel oracle, will the legislation pass to put a cap on the nurses? And then we'll pull some tarot cards to kind of see what that means. I just wanted to kind of incorporate the angel oracles. I find them fascinating, to be honest with you. I really do. So let's have a look. Big happy changes. Nice. Big happy changes. Good, good, good. So that sounds good. Now, oh, sorry. Big happy changes is the big overall picture. When all this comes to pass, well, how it's going to be, big happy changes. And that's going to go into our next question about the Great Reset. But let's just stick to one thing at a time. And sorry, I'm moving a little bit, but yes, my back is bugging me a little bit. So whatever. So big happy changes. So there's going to be some big happy changes coming to healthcare. They have no other choice. And when you look at the future, how things beyond our imagination are going to happen. And that's going to happen in healthcare as well, because, you know, you can go to Walmart now and serve yourself, go through, be your own cashier. So, you know, we're going to have to change healthcare to be more efficient for some of the things, like if they can get it done. Because the reality is there's not as many nurses going into nursing. The population is getting older. So who's going to take care of, you know, it just, you know, but then it says big happy changes. So I'm going to just go on the cards, not my own thought process, and say big happy changes. But I think that, you know, science and all that kind of stuff can certainly help and change. And so big happy changes. What's going to happen with the vote specifically? Because big happy changes. Can you hear my dog down there breathing? All right. 3 of Cups. Three of Cups. They're going to be getting together and supporting each other. They're not going to be willing to let the cap happen and not have anything to say. And I almost feel like the nurses and all the people that are in healthcare have collectively got together and just said, you know what, enough is enough. So I think there's a lot of pushback on the legislation. I think that there's an obvious strain when it comes to money. So this card, the Knight of Pentacles, slow and steady, but it's looking back at the 3 of Cups. So I think there's going to be, you know, a offer of money, something that will satisfy both sides without really helping either side, if that makes sense, because then we've got the 10 of Wands. So it's going to be a lot of stress, a lot of worry, but big happy changes are happening. But it's like our next question that we'll go into about the big reset. Have we gotten to a point where the old ways of doing things has just, you know, made it so that we are living through the breakdown and rebirth of our world? Because even if you look at the planet and our financial way of doing things and the whole 9 yards. So let's look at nursing in the future. What will nursing, how is it going to go over the next little while? Because it's great to talk about the big reset, but the reset depends on us being together, coming together and trusting each other. And we're in a world right now where trust and where coming together is not the easiest, right? So we've got temperance in the middle. So I think there's going to be a balancing out. You know, it's just going to remain that struggle, that continuous struggle of having to go back and forth, negotiating. And it's really negotiating based on the times that we're in, you know, because we have to look at the money, we have to look at the resources and the state of the times and everything. But then we also have to respect people's education and what they bring to the table, and making it so that it's worth their time to be there and to be safe, because you know, let's face it, we're living in really unsafe times. And it's, you know, it's one thing for you and I to be there saying it's unsafe. Imagine being on the front line and being the nurse taking the temperature and not knowing, you know, we didn't know, but imagine being a nurse dealing with this and not knowing, you know, all the answers. That's scary. Ooh. Okay. Crossing it, there's going to be, oh Lord, there's going to be some migration. There's going to be people leaving, opting to go into different careers. There's going to be people, because if you look at this card, she has a child with her. So there's going to be people who are going to opt due to family obligations, due to children, due to wanting to have children. It's like you're going to get a core group that have just said, you know, we're done. They're tired. They're just feeling bed up and abused and not seeing anything for it. Underneath it all, we got the Wheel of Fortune. Well, of course, we have the Wheel of Fortune. We have big, happy changes coming. So here we are, the Seven of Pentacles. God bless them. These are the nurses looking at everything, and not just the nurses. I should qualify that by saying that, yes, I'm talking specifically about nurses, but I think this could go for anybody in healthcare, whether you are the one that takes blood, or you're the garbage man, or you're the doctor, the nurse, the psychiatrist, the cleaner, whatever it is. I think it's affecting all of healthcare. This is like, because when I'm just looking at the Temperance card, being like, there's going to be an ultimate change to everything, not just one, but nurses are going to be leaving. There's going to be positive change coming, but they're looking at, look how much we put into this, the hours, the time, the education, and the abuse. And just, I mean, I could go on for hours talking and praising nurses about how much they have to deal with. And I've had some pretty horrific experiences in the hospital, so I still speak well of nurses, because, you know, it's like any other group. There's going to be good and bad in every group, and it's up to you to do your best to try to decipher which one is real and which one is, or which one's good, which one's bad. But here you are looking at what you have done. And I think this perfectly goes along with people leaving, because people are looking at their harvest. What are they going to get out of this? Is it going to become more money and be worth it to at least put yourself out in all this stress and worry? Whereas Temperance is kind of saying, hey, it's going to stay status quo pretty much. It's going to be that pull and tug. And so I think people are really looking at quality of life, quality of job, the amount of money, the amount of heartache, the amount of stress. And, you know, part of the reset is everybody having that shared mental experience, which is hard, On top of it all, we have the Queen of Cups, nurse. This is the nurses getting kept, for one, because you see there's a cap on the cup. It's the only cup that has a cap put on it. That does not make me happy. That's what it's in their mind. What this is the possibility. This is what's worried in their mind. And really not having a say, because there's so much financial and other players that are so strongly intertwined in that industry. Oh no. Oh Lord. we got the Three of Swords. So there's going to be some bad news. There's going to be some heartache. And I mean, obviously, if we're seeing a trend of people leaving, this is going to hurt. This is going to hurt. If the numbers go up in the hospitals, it is going to hurt. So I think we're seeing it. It's just amazing how the cards can just tell that. Can you see that? Like the story that gets told? Okay, so there is such a want and need to take care of others. So you'd be shocked at the two kind of roads, is that you have the one that just gets fed up and they're there to get a paycheck, and they're getting pissier and crappier, and they're just mentally just can't take it. And it's like, you know, they're at their breaking point. But then you have the others that are there and they love humanity. They truly are that caretaker. And so the overall wish will be satisfied. The wish card is here. There is going to be pain. There is going to be struggle. There is going to be change. But I think big happy change is like the beginning we said is going to be the overall. And I think the wish will come true, but that is after the changes happen. And they're going to be hard changes. They're going to be hard to swallow changes. Oh my. See, this pees me off because the devil's here, and the devil is like, you know, all the entities, whether it be government, business, big pharma, whatever. These are the characters that are going to come out and say, you know what, we've all gone through the pandemic and you need to do what you need to do, and you're going to do it under these restraints. And you are not responsible for it, nor do you have to stay for it. But they're not going to change their ways. They're just, you know, when it comes to money and being able to make money, it will give, it'll make for funny bedfellows. Let's just say that. So there's a lot of abuse within coming from outside. This is the people, the others around you, and it's abusive. A lot of emotion, a lot of feeling, a lot of strong feeling about it. I think that if they do put the cap on, which on top of it, which is the possible likely outcome, the cap goes on. If the cap goes on, it's going to flood. It's going to cause a huge upset. Nurses will not be happy. And it's like, it is the perfect storm coming together because there's just so much, like, you know, I cannot, you know, provide all the layers. I can just feel the overwhelming of like, oh, even as I'm talking, I know there's so much more to it. Why? The outcome, the Three of Cups, but it's reversed. Oh. I hope I'm wrong, but I got a feeling that the cap is probably going to go through, but it's going to cause a lot of upset. And that eventually down the road, the big picture will be big happy changes. But, you know, we've got some heartache, we've got some moving on. We've got a reset happening here, even, you know, with it, and even especially within healthcare itself. So, interesting read. Thank you so much. I don't know if I should mention names or not, so I won't mention names just in case that's not okay, but you know who you are because you emailed me, and I thank you. So, our next question, we're going to ask about the big reset. what, because I mean, what's going to happen with the big reset? Are we going through the big reset where we have to change everything because it's become, eminently important that we're going through the reset? Climate change is real. Our world not getting together is real. I mean, there used to be a time when, or at least for myself, I'll speak for myself, that, I grew up in the 80s where it was all about coming together and we are the world, and it just feels like something happened and this reset happened, and do we have to go through this pain? Like, is this... So, before I do that, let's ask the Angel Oracle, are we at beginning stages of the Great Reset? Are we at the beginning of the Great Reset? Success. Oh man. Let's look at that. Are we at the beginning of the Great Reset? Success! We have successfully gone into the stress of the Great Reset, because before you get the rainbow, you have to take the rain. So I think we're being rained on, people. Excuse me. All right, what's happening with the reset? Okay, let's just start it off now. Ooh, strength. Oh my God. Dear Lord, oh Lord, oh Lord. It's a great card, but then it's a great card. You know what I'm saying? It's great in the sense that strength, great. We have what it takes. But strength is also having to have strength to get through whatever life pushes at you. Do you know what I'm saying? So strength is not necessarily something that we have. It's something that we acquire by going through difficult times. So we have to show grace. We have to show grace to one another. We're going through a really divisible, I shouldn't use words I don't know. We're going through a time when we are truly divided, and we forget that we're 99.89 or whatever percent exactly the same. So we need to remember what is the same in us, to come together as a people rather than groups. But that takes a lot of change, and it's going to take a lot of strength. And that, strength to deal with the climate change, strength to deal with the fact that the big change cannot happen unless we have trust, and we not just trust, but we depend on one another. Without that, we can't have the change. And right now we're going through such a difficult time, but I think it is that, most people are afraid of change. So on a world stage, they're like, no, let everything remain the same. We like the way we make money. We like the fact that there's only, 2% that have the top amount of money in the world. We like that. Who cares what you like? The reset has happened. The reset's going to change us, but we got to go through the pain of getting rid of these old ways of thinking. And we all collectively have old ways of thinking, because you come into this world as this perfect entity that could have everything, and then you're raised and you can't help but pick up what you're being told on television. You're not smart, you're not skinny enough, you're not this, you're not that, or you got to do this if you want to be. We are inundated, and that's the outside world. Imagine what people go through on the internal world. Ah, that's lovely. Going across the strength is the give and take. It is literally what we are saying is that the old world not wanting to give way to the new, and the new world wanting to hold on to the past and yet wanting to go forward. It's just this cycle of just, you know, if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you always got. And for a small percentage of people, this really works. But this is what's going against the strength, is that this is no longer how it can be anymore. This world of some having and some not having is no longer going to be acceptable in the new reset. Underneath it all, I love tarot. I love tarot. The Hierophant, the rules, the regulations. You know, do you conform to the way things always have been, or do you change with the times? This is what's underneath it, is having to buck the system, having to, you know, walk away from things that have been internalized in us for years and generations, hundreds of years, because your past makes you what you are in your future, but it also should change you. And this is what our challenge is, to be changed. Okay, in the past, we've got the Page of Cups. This is the beginning of a spiritual change. This is getting people to go from being the Archie Bunkers in the world to at least giving, you know, all sides the ability to exist at once without saying something. You know what I mean? There was this, you know, by Archie Bunker and by those types of shows, you know, you saw that being racist, being bigoted, being an Archie Bunker, how old it was, that you felt embarrassed for him. And I mean, if you watch it now, it's like, ooh, it's really kind of out of date. But I think when it comes to the Page of Cups, this is a spiritual awakening, a spiritual change. So are we in the Great Reset? We're already done there. This was started years ago. Oh my God. Wheel of Fortune going through major changes. Can you see these cards now? Major changes that we'll need strength for, that is going to change the rules of this world. This is our government. This is how we rule money. This is how we do healthcare. This is how we take care of each other. I mean, we are going through wow times, like truly, oh my God times. You know what I'm saying? Okay. We're going to have to look at in a responsible, in a come to the table, even though it hurts, conversational way of, look, this is where we're to now. This is looking at what you've harvested. What have you gotten? Is it worth what you've gone through? So they're going to have to look through the rubble and find out, okay, what things did work that are the core of what we want to be, because in anything, not everything is all good, not everything is all bad. There are things that you can find within it to be able to move forward in. So there will be some building blocks that we'll take from the past to move forward, but we have to take them down, and we're going to have a real look at what have we done to really get where we're to. We have to follow the science and have the strength to do it, because when you're looking at the Wheel of Fortune turning and we have strength, this could also be looking at our economy and the change of our economy. This is looking at the strength of being able to put, you know, do we have the strength as a people to put ourselves, our emotional, mental, and physical, spiritual health above that of money? Is that, you know, that's where we want to go, where people have a more, you know, love, more do unto others. And, you know, I think to get to that place, it's going to take strength, but we are going to be going through the change. But look at what has happened and where we need to change. The Emperor. okay, like immediately I got two hits. One, the emperor being goodbye to the man's world. You know, this is a man's world. No, it's not. Women are coming up, and I think this is going to be part of the change. Now, don't get stressed out. It's not going to go, oh, women are going to be up here and men are going to be down there, even though that's the way it already is. But, you know, if you look at history, women used to be, you know, bigger than men, and they had, you know, everybody does their little stories, and it goes through history and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying that this is not to do with men, like our men. This is to do with the man world, not man as in a person. I can't, I'm lost for the word. I'm looking for the word, and I'm sure you're probably screaming at me right now for the word. But the emperor kind of tells me that we're going to be changing from a patriotic system to a more feminine system. This is also telling me that the emperor is all about building stability. So the stability of the rules, the strength of change, like it all works together. Stability, across from it, rules, the strength to change, right? Just amazing. Page of Pentacles. What we need to be worried about is information, and this information coming out from people who don't know, because the page is not the king, the page is not the queen, they're not trying to help anybody. The page is the student. So we have to realize that at this point with the reset coming, we're all going to become students. So I think that's going to be part of the breakdown of the way things always were. You know, it's always like a class, you know, if you make a certain amount of money, if you have a certain education, you got the different class systems. I think this is letting us know that works against us. We have to start looking at each other as human beings, and that's what part of the Great Reset's going to be. Oh my God! Why? Three of Swords. So unfortunately, the reset's going to be an amazing place for us to go. But to get there, there's going to be some heartache. There's going to be some major changes that we got to go through. And there's going to be three major institutions that are going to go through major change. One of them definitely be, see the clouds up there. We're going to have to deal with the realistic climate change, what we're doing to our environment. I think because the heart is here, it's the Three of Swords for a reason. I think, you know, this has to deal with healthcare, and this is the healthcare, how we deal with each other, how we live together as a society. So looking at our psychological well-being, our education, our health, this is sort of like having to change our ways about all of it. And the third one, what do you think? I'm just thinking that the third one is the actual change that we're going to have to go through, because one of the hardest things to do is to try to get somebody to change their mind, especially if it's something that's been ingrained in them since they were born. You know, you try to change somebody out of their religion. I mean, it's just not possible. So that's what we're up against for the change to come. How will it affect Canada? Ooh. Okay, good for us. Canada is going to be looking outside of, they're going to be looking outside of themselves to work with the world. You know, they do. Canada wants to come to the table and be a partner. Unfortunately, Canada doesn't have a whole lot to bargain with, because we're a small country. So we don't have to take on the same we don't have to take on the same burdens as what our other countries do. So it will be tempered. What we do, what we face will be tempered in our location. you know, we're going to be affected by everything that happens in the world, but because Canada is a smaller country, not in land size, I'm talking in people, we'll be able to temper out, you know, the effects of this. Interesting. But we'll be looking on to help and to be with the world. We're looking beyond ourselves. We're looking beyond ourselves. For the U.S., you ask? For the U.S. Yeek. Now, why did you go ask me about the U.S.? I didn't ask you to ask me about the U.S. I was just going to leave it there. Okay. U.S. For the Great Reset, it is money. It is the money structure there, and it's not just it's not just money. It's the power and the power struggle, and you're a big power, and it's going to hurt you powerfully because the U.S. is going to be going through some major upsets, major changes, and the tower is coming. There's nothing you can do. You can't stop the tower from coming. It is a necessary evil that has to happen for great change to come, because then we see the King of Wands. This gets the Americans back to what they're good at, being the force that drives everything, being the first, being the ones that are there to help, being the ones to get things done. So I really believe this is just, because I'm just looking at it in conjunction to Canada, and I do think that we're going to be affected by the U.S. because everything that happens to the U.S. happens, if I look at the two cards sets together, whatever happens to the U.S. directly affects us, and we're going to be watching what happens to you guys. But you guys are going to have the huge change. We're going to have the change, but we're not going to have the major blow up that you do. But it's only because your numbers and your power, and I mean, come on, you're the U.S. That's just the way it is. But I truly believe, as we have in the past, and as I believe we will in the future, the U.S. and Canada will come to work together. Yay!
And the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave
And I mean, the whole reading up till I said specifically Canada and US, that's us as a world. That's the world changing. It's not just two countries. This is us. It's happening on a world stage, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it's going to all come to pass. Because we're only it's just going to be wild. I'm going to be like that really old lady, God willing, who's just going to be like, I can't do this, I can't do that. Because the amount of change that I believe will happen in the next 20 and 30 years is just going to be mind-boggling. So, let's switch gears. I really enjoyed that. I really felt that one. Okay, we're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk about Bob Saget.
Saget's head injuries were so severe he may have hit his head twice before tragically dying at a Florida hotel last month, a doctor has said. Dr. Anthony Harris, the chief medical director for Fit Heath, told The Sun that Saget, 65, likely suffered the fatal injuries after slipping in the bathroom. We know from the autopsy that he did have a fractured skull and the severity in regards to the fracture of the skull is indicated by him having blood across both sides of his brain, Harris said. That means you had a significant injury, not just to the skull, but the brain itself, which will affect the actual function of the brain. An autopsy released earlier this month showed the star died from an accidental blow to the head, having suffered an abrasion to his scalp, a fracture at the base of his skull, fractures around his eye sockets, and a bleed on his brain. He was found dead in the bed of his hotel room at the Orlando Ritz-Carlton on January 9, hours after performing a live stand-up show. As highlighted,
because, like I said at the beginning, his autopsy came out. They're saying that the hit that he had was the equivalent of a baseball bat being hit in the back of his head. And they even, because I mean, that's the way they described it. So it's almost like they're trying to put a little conspiracy out there and, said it wouldn't just happen from the bathroom, even though in his hotel room, it was a marble bathroom. But I mean, you think if you bang your head hard enough to actually break bone, how do you then get from wherever you're to your bed and lie with your arm over your chest? And they said he had to drive an hour from his gig to get to the hotel. So in my mind, my first thought went, like, is it possible that on the way he gave himself, he had to stop quickly because of a car or something and gave himself whiplash, and I mean, that really can hurt. That doesn't hurt automatically. That starts to show up once you get home and you're relaxed. So all of a sudden his neck is really hurting. He's in the bathroom, takes a second spill. Okay, that's my imagination. So let's not use my imagination. Let's use the cards and see, is there anything more to this Bob Saget story? Because just one more little tidbit. He is a well-known entity. He's a celebrity. And the family have decided that they would prefer if the information coming out about him would not be told to the public. And that kind of makes you give them a side eye to say, well, why wouldn't you want it to be public? What are you trying to cover up? So it could be just, I could be here speculating and doing it all for however long, but let's look at the cards and see. Cards and see what's actually happening with Bob Saget. Is there anything more to his death? I mean, everybody was saying how wonderful he was and what a good guy he was, and that he always finished all his phone conversations with saying, I love you. And now, he was a dirty, dirty comedian. He did really nasty stuff. I remember hearing news about him being on the Full House set. And when the Olsen twins weren't there, they used to have these dolls that were replacements for the Olsen twins, I guess to show where they'd be sitting or doing whatever. And he had some really dark humor when it came to it. So people have always kind of said, like his humor is really out to lunch. So, but everybody has said that they love him, that how good he was. But now they're kind of questioning his death. And of course, people are giving him the side eye, giving him and his family the side eye, because why are you not wanting the information to come out? Okay, so let's just ask the cards. Bob Saget. Okay, Bob. Okay, Bob. Three of Swords. Three of Swords. Heartbreak, heartache. I'm just shocked because I really wasn't expecting this card to come up. Let's continue with the reading before we read into this card, because my mind is just going. Three of Swords. People not being happy around him. Somebody, because the Three of Swords is heartache, his heartbreak. Maybe even his death. And what's going against it is, you know, the happy family, his friends' family, people that will be closest to him, young and old, everybody alike, and it's reversed. But how could this be reversed when everybody came out and has come out and said he's absolutely amazing, he's this wonderful person who, you know, does everything for everybody? So why is this somebody? Is this letting me know somebody? Maybe this is letting me know his family knows something. The family know more of what happened and they don't want it to come out. Okay, I'm just speculating at this point, guys. We don't have enough cards out, and just underneath it all, we got the Emperor reversed. So underneath it all is him. Him no longer being in this world, him no longer existing. Underneath it all is the end of the stability, the end of the Emperor of the family. In the past, Ace of Wands. Okay, I do not like where this is going. Honest to God, I feel like scooping the cards up and just saying, you know what, no. Ace of Wands in the past. Three of Swords in the future, covered by people he knows. Let's just keep reading. Let's just keep reading. On top, we've got the Moon reversed. So there's, on top of this, there's something secretive that has happened that, because it's reversed, it looks like this is going to come out. So there is something to this. Oh my God, no. Why I'm telling you, my cards are telling a whole other story than what I was thinking. Okay, well, okay. So the Moon's on top. There's more to the story. We're going to find out. Heartbreak. Because where the Moon's reverse is going to be, we're going to find out about it. We're going, wow. Eight of Wands. So information, papers, things happening. We got the Ace of Wands, Three of Swords. Oh, Ace of Wands, stuff coming from his past, that will be brought up in the now, in the coming months. Information, paper trail. Okay, there's something more to this. Six of Pentacles reversed. So was this a... It's like... I honest to God, I keep feeling like I should just scoop this up and just pretend this is not happening. I'm not joking. I've done it before. Six of Pentacles. Something from his past is going to come up. something from his past is going to come up. Something that was in the past, something he did, caused heartbreak. There's going to be information, more information coming out about it. And this is across from the Emperor. So I'm sure for the Emperor, for Bob, he's hoping that whatever the secret is will die with him. Because they're aligned together. And as soon as I kind of put the two and two together, I was like, okay, thank you. All right, around him. Ooh. Around him, we've got the Five of Pentacles, but it's reversed. I am telling you, something is going to come out, but they don't want it to come out. There's something that's happened in his past that's going to be connected to his death, or I know I sound conspiratorial or what have you, but that's not me. It's my cards. So I feel as though there's information that's out there that's being withheld. He hurt somebody, or people don't want to talk ill of him, but there are people out there that have stories that would not see him in a good light. How about that? I'm trying to be as delicate as I possibly can. High Priestess, and these hopes and fears, the worry, the stress, the wanting to keep the secret. Let it die with me. Let it die with me. The end result. Oh my gosh. Tower. Okay, guys, I think we've stumbled on some kind of future story that's going to be coming out. But how? I just don't understand. How could that be? What's the Tower going to be about? Somebody who thinks themselves bigger than what they are. This just doesn't feel right. I'm just like, this can't be Bob Saget, because I've heard so many good things about him, but I don't know him. I don't know him from Adam. But this is letting me know, like, in a way, his wishes was selfishly fulfilled, because he used strength and he used power. Because this is what's representing the Tower that's coming. And he is really strongly hoping this is going to die with him. Wow. That's a very interesting reading. Should I leave it? I don't know. I'm here in my head going, should I leave it in or not? I suppose. All right. I'll just take a little breather here in case I want to cut and not leave out the Bob Saget. See, stop talking, Nina. Okay, I will. Alrighty, my friends. All right. Okay, stop. All right, my friends, as always, I thank you for joining me. I have our Unity candle lit for each and every one of us. I hope you like, subscribe, leave your comments below. I really loved that reading. So thank you so much for the questions that I got, because I really, I always feel good about my readings, but on the occasion you get that, like, you just feel like, yes, energy is running through you. You just know it. You just feel it, and anyway, I really felt this one strongly, so I hope you enjoyed it too. All right, guys, I'll stop talking. All right, talk to you later. Cheerio. Bye.